Welcome to Management TV. Today we're once again with Phillip Kotler. Phil is the world's most renowned expert on marketing. He is the creator of the field and has written over 50 books, 10 of which have been in the last 5 or 6 years, and has recently published a book on Marketing 3.0. And we're going to learn about it with him today. Thank you very much, Phil, for being with us today.
Happy to be with you always, Eduardo.
Marketing 3.0, what is it all about?
Well, let me give you a preview.
Yes.
It turns out that I believe most companies are in Marketing 1.0, which I will explain. A small percentage are in 2.0, and a few now are in 3.0. And by the way, no company should jump from being 1.0 to 3.0. They better crawl before they get to that stage if they want to get to that stage. A Marketing 1.0 company is doing the job, a good job. They are being efficient and profitable, making something for a lot of people. However, some companies have decided to learn more about who they're selling to.
Okay.
They move from just making and selling a good product to understanding their customers with big databases and watching movements in their customer fans and so on. And that is 2.0. And 3.0 goes further than that.
2.0, if you were to describe it with one word or one concept, what is Marketing 1.0?
Well, 1.0 is appealing to the customer's mind wherever you can find customers.
Okay.
And 2.0 is appealing to the customer's heart by knowing a lot about the customer and trying to get closer to serving the customer.
Okay. And now, yes, Marketing 3.0?
And Marketing 3.0 is about knowing the customer is more than a person simply interested in a product that you're providing, but is a person who has concerns. Because the world is kind of getting more and more unstable. There's the question of, will the planet run out of resources? There's the question of poverty, water shortage. And so it's a context for a company saying, we care too. We not only want to sell what you want in the best form possible, but we would like to make sure that we understand the world you're living in, and we're trying to make a difference and also make a better world. That's 3.0.
In one word would be?
Caring about the planet and the world.
Okay. Let's try to define the basic marketing concepts and apply them to Marketing 1.0, 2.0, or 3.0.
Sure.
For example, positioning. What is positioning?
Well, positioning is letting your target customers know how you will differ from the other competitors in offering points of difference and not only points of parity. We use those terms. Most companies have to at least do the same thing the other companies are doing. Then they're on par with that. But you take a company like Starbucks, they're not only make sure that the coffee is fresh and that and it delivers what coffee should deliver, but they add much more. They're positioned as giving a finer coffee, more types of coffee, and a whole experience in a place where you're going to enjoy the moment of coffee. That's positioning.
Segmentation.
Segmentation is the recognition you can't serve everyone with equal satisfaction. I'll give you an example of that. McDonald's believes in a thing they call brand journalism. That is, they stand for this idea of QSCV. Let me explain. Their formula is always quality, service, cleanliness, and value. QSCV. But you know, what they should really emphasize differs from whether they're trying to reach the teenager, they're trying to reach the mother of children, the senior citizen. And so within the QSCV, they have a different but consistent message with the QSCV for each segment of the market.
In both positioning and segmentation, the difference between Marketing 2.0 and 3.0 is to add those dimensions of caring society and planet?
Yes, right.
When you're a 3.0, you also have to be a 1.0 and 2.0. They're addition more pillars to your marketing strategies.
By all means. Don't become good at 3.0 without being good basically with your basic product and your customer understanding.
The marketing mix,
Yes.
the 4 Ps,
Yeah.
is it still a valid concept for the marketing 3.0?
It is definitely still the basis of any brand plan, but there's one addition now called co-creation that was missing. Namely, the 4 Ps is what the company does on its own to set the product, features, the price, the place or distribution, and also the promotion. But you know, in setting those things, they ought to engage their customers who really love them. Let's assume that some companies have customers who love them. Companies like, for example, Harley-Davidson, where people who drive motorcycles, they often say, Harley, could we help you? You're making the next motorcycle. We have some ideas. Can we hang around? We don't want to be paid. We just want to join you.
What are successful companies doing to co-create with their companies, with their customers, sorry?
They're basically building a love affair with their customers. And I can say more about what we've learned about that. It's not only in a book, Love Marks, but there's a book called Firms of Endearment that have taught us how to turn on your own customers as well as your employees. There's a lot involved in getting closer to your there's a thing we call crowdsourcing. It's a term used in a book called The Wisdom of Crowds, which say that there are a lot of people out there who would like to participate in your company in one way or another, and not only in what your product might become, but also what your advertising might become. Wonderful story about Doritos, which is a snack food like a potato chip. They decided not to use their advertising agency to develop a new ad campaign. And they said to all of you people who love Doritos, any of you who want to create a campaign for us, an advertising campaign, please send it to us. We will choose the best ones and reward you for it. And not only that, the very best one will be used for our next campaign, which means that they are bypassing the ad agency, and they ended up with a brilliant campaign that no ad agency would have probably, with its narrow interest in a few concepts, have come up with. That's crowdsourcing, getting the crowd to join you, or it's co-creation with your fans.
That's a great example on one of the 4 Ps, that would be the promotion.
Yeah.
Let's take on the product side.
Yeah.
How can you invite specifically your customers or customers to design the product with you?
Well, you know, it's been done for a long time within the B2B world, the business-to-business world. Any business firm that's making a technical component will go through an alpha and a beta test. Now, the alpha test is to make sure that the component works, doesn't break down inside the company using your own scientists. But then they select a subset of customers with whom they have a good relation, and they ask them to try the product and to suggest any improvements before they do a launch of the final product. So beta testing is the same as co-creation. Okay. Question is, what about a consumer packaged goods company? Well, they do it by having maybe a consumer panel. In fact, do you remember research being done at MIT called lead users? Lead users. No. The professor in that area has shown many companies that they will always have some users who are demanding. In fact, they take the product they just bought from you and improve it themselves. It could be a computer where they play around with the software or the hardware and make it work better. So lead users is another version of watching people take your product and make it better.
Let's see co-creation with price.
Yeah.
Is that possible, or that's too risky? How can customers help you set the appropriate price?
Well, you know, it's done in the following way, which most companies can't do it that way. When you say as a restaurant, and this has happened, come in, order what you want, and then pay whatever you want. That is to say, and a movie theater could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Movie theater could say, just come in, watch the movie, and just leave whatever you thought the movie was worth.
Okay.
It hasn't spread, but it is a way of saying, let the customer be the judge of the value of the product.
And finally, if we go to the 4 Ps with co-creation, would be place, distribution. How can customers help you co-create your distribution channels?
Well, it isn't the final customers there. It is the distribution channels that are your customers at the intermediate level.
Yes.
And do you know many of the middlemen have been actually reshaping the product. The history of Walmart is telling a toy manufacturer their box or their package is too big for the shelf, and almost giving the design for a better box or package, or actually saying we won't accept it at that size, go back and so on. So I would say that is co-creation with your distribution system.
When you're talking about marketing 3.0, the marketing of the spirit, the marketing of values, is that just a marketing strategy, or it has to be a management philosophy? Can you treat the client differently from what you treat the employees?
No, as a matter of fact, this Marketing 3.0 could be renamed Management 3.0. Yes. It really is more than a department's adjustment to opportunities. In fact, the book I wrote with my co-authors, Marketing 3.0, has a whole section on the following. Marketing isn't what you do only to your customers. You've got to market to your employees. You've got to market to your distributors, to your suppliers, because you have to be a company that has partnered with the best employees, with the best suppliers, the best distributors. You will never win if you are doing it all by yourself. And the key there, when I use the word market to your employees, I don't mean to manipulate your employees. I mean to understand them and their needs. Yes. And not only need for pay, need for a psychological, psychic satisfaction. They should be proud of their company. They should say, it's wonderful that our company has organized a health program. So there's a gym and we can stay healthy. They've even asked us to volunteer if we want to for that city in which we operate, which has a cleanup campaign. Yeah. So marketing to the employees is to sort of serve them too, and to serve your distributors. It's stakeholder theory. Everyone who's a partner should get fair rewards for their team. It's building a team.
Management 3.0, I love that idea.
Yeah.
There are a few terms that I'd like you to define. I know you're working on. One would be storytelling and marketing.
Yes, I believe that marketing is more of a conversation. In fact, what is shaping the image of brands is not the company that thinks it's controlling the brand. The brand is being owned by the consumers, and they tell stories. Okay. And we should. Do you know what we can do with the Twitter? I discovered this, that Twitter is not just about twittering. And I could be saying I'm in Sao Paulo now to those who want to follow what I'm doing, or I could follow what Madonna's doing. All right. But it's keywords. I could find out what is being said about the Prius automobile.
Okay.
I just put it as a keyword on Twitter, and if it comes up in any conversations, I may have about 500 conversations which mention the word Twitter.
Prius.
That means the Prius. And then that means I can learn if I mentioned at all as the company Prius, if I mention mostly favorably or unfavorably. And companies have to recognize that they're being discussed. They're in a fishbowl, being observed and talked about. So conversation and storytelling is very important. There's going to be bad stories about you and good stories. I think a company sometimes recognizes a bad story, and the smartest thing it could do is say, you know, some people are dissatisfied about something. We're doing our best to correct that.
Demarketing.
Yes, I am concerned about maybe reaching and returning to the age of demarketing. Now, what do I mean by that? Imagine the time when we had shortages, like during a war or something. People had to line up. No marketing was done, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're going to do any marketing, you're going to try to reduce the demand, make the line shorter. You're going to raise the price. You're going to make your product simpler. Rather than adding features, you may make them just simpler so you can make more of them. So demarketing is to use marketing in reverse, and you do that when you get limits to growth, when you're running out of resources, where you don't have to market anymore. Look at California. You know they have a water shortage. They want people to be more careful using water. So what they say is, don't shower every day. Don't water your grass every day. They're demarketing.
Inside marketing.
Well, it's sometimes easier to market to your customers than to market to the other functions. I mean, if the other functions have a low opinion of marketing, sometimes it's deserved, by the way. It's deserved because marketing has no accountability. They ask for a lot of money. We don't get the return on marketing investment called the ROMI. What is the ROMI? So how do I get to work very well with the manufacturing people who are mad at us because we have promotions and screw up their manufacturing timing? How do we get the finance guy to accept the $10 million budget that we need? Inside marketing.
I now would ask for inside marketing in the sense of Intel Inside or Lycra Inside, when you put a product in other companies' product, but you still want to market it.
Well, this problem concerns a huge number of companies who make some product that is incorporated in a larger product. We wrote a whole book on that. We published it called Ingredient Branding.
Okay.
Now, the success stories are 3 or 4. Certainly, Intel is the best success story because I would never ask who made the chip. But now I won't buy a computer without the Intel chip. Gore-Tex. I want that outdoor clothing. Was that made with Gore-Tex? I want Gore-Tex to be the material. And then when it's the artificial sugar, you want that special sucralose or something to be
NutraSweet.
Yeah. Now, we have in that book the stories of about 24 companies that managed to get their ingredient asked for, wherever it got lost in the product, but it was asked for.
Ingredient marketing.
Ingredient
Great idea.
marketing, yeah.
Thank you very much, Phil, for being with us today. We always learn a lot. We are hoping to have your new books out soon, read them, and continue our conversations.
Well,
thank you very much.
It's always fun talking to you, Eduardo.
Thanks
for your questions.
And thank you very much for following us on Management TV. See you soon. There is a new tool now that would allow to further move into co-creation, that is the social networks.
Yes.
Can you share interesting examples of companies using the social networks to improve their co-creation with the customers?
I'd be happy to suggest some examples, but first let's be clear that the social networks are now creating a revolution in modern marketing, and no company can get away with doing a poor quality job anymore. It's so clear to me that in the future we will only have good companies. We won't have the mix of good and bad companies. Now, by a bad company, I mean the kind that can seduce you into buying something, and you buy it and you're disappointed and you wonder. But then in the old days, you couldn't tell many people. You could just tell your wife and family that you bought the wrong car. Today, we could broadcast because many people know 1,000 other people through LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever.
Or Facebook.
So only good companies can survive because every company's in a fishbowl. Now, with respect to the idea of social media, companies that are alert, they don't want to shift their whole promotion budget to social media. That would be a mistake. When you have a great campaign with an advertisement, a TV commercial, it can work wonders. So you keep traditional media, but you shift maybe 10% of the money. One company shifted 50% overnight into the social media, and that was a mistake. Because you got to learn what works first. So you shift 10%, you hire a nerd, you put in your marketing department a geek. Now, I love those words because I'm a geek and I'm a nerd. And these are people who love the new social media. And then you try it out. Now, the social media, here's what I think works a lot. I think what works a lot is Facebook. So you have to have a presence on Facebook. Many companies are on Facebook, and I can tell you how they use them. You ought to be on Twitter.
Yes.
You ought to be on LinkedIn, and you should be using YouTube. Okay. And there's a few more things, of course, but get a presence on these media.
You said Facebook. I'll tell you how to use it. Can you share that?
Well, Coca-Cola may have a page on Facebook, and you're just entering a kind of community of people who love the product, and they tell you things about the product's history. They want you to send in comments and maybe your best episode ever with Coke, some memorable experience. Mm-hmm. It's a way of engaging people to share stories and the interest in that product with other people who also go to the same site.
Do you think that impacts on sales?
It certainly leads to retention of customers, and the real question is it measurable? Mm. Okay, now what can they do to measure this? How can they find out how many people went to the Coca-Cola site, had a good experience, and ended up sending out a Twitter message? I was at the Coca-Cola site on Facebook, and did you notice that they're coming out with a new drink, which I think is great. And now we have to figure out how many people they sent that Twitter message to. And then we should find out by checking on some sample of the Twitter receivers of that message, did they pass it on to others, or look at the Facebook site on Coca-Cola. It's not easy to do, but you should have a little faith in that if there's been an entertaining involved experience, that some talk was generated.
We talked about marketing 3.0, the marketing of sustainability, society, caring for something, the marketing of the spirit. Is that so culture related that we cannot have a global marketing strategy if we are talking about 3.0?
You raised a very good question, Eduardo, because countries are at different stages of development. If you're going to sell your product in Scandinavia, you better be a marketing 3.0 company. Mm. Scandinavians are very educated. They're very concerned about the limits to growth and so on, and they want to see that you're doing something as a company that shows caring. Let's go to an opposite type of country, maybe one deep in Africa that doesn't have much of a middle class and mostly poor. There's one country, I think it's Zambia, that's 89% of the people are poor. They just want to eat something. I don't think being a Marketing 3.0 company matters at all. Yeah. So that's the answer to the question.
Regarding creativity,
yes,
how would you approach Marketing 3.0? How would you embed new creativity in a Marketing 3.0 strategy?
Well, first of all, I want to distinguish between being authentic and inauthentic. There's a lot of companies who might see a PR, public relations kind of nice thing about Marketing 3.0. And when that happens, and when they're inauthentic, it's called greenwashing. They're going green, but when you really examine it deeply, I'm talking about companies that build it in their DNA. Now, how do you creatively commit to that? You know, companies give out often a lot of money because they care, but the company that just gives it out miscellaneously, that's a good cause, this is fine, and so on, it doesn't add up. And I've made a case in my earlier book called Corporate Social Responsibility that they should really get a cause and make a difference in that cause. Avon, the direct marketer, who sells mostly to women, said that what really counts and what worries women, or again, look at the whole person, ask what their life concerns are, is breast cancer. And they have raised over $100 million over the years to help researchers find solutions to this problem. So the money isn't spattered around. Motorola likes to give money to engineering schools. Clearly they want better engineers, and that makes sense. So we examined 40 companies that really have a cause. And why shouldn't a company do that? A company is such a strong engine machine, economic engine machine. They should, of course, focus on their core products and services, but they are also so much better than government and even some NGOs to make a difference.
Yes.
And we admire those companies. IBM does a lot of that. GE does a lot. They care.